Stanford economists have been tracking the actual payroll records of 4.6 million American workers across more than 730 occupations, month by month, since ChatGPT launched. That is roughly 1 in 6 American workers. And the sharpest finding in all of it concerns one specific group of people. Workers aged 22 to 25 in the jobs most exposed to AI. Their employment has fallen 13% relative to everybody else. Now here is the comparison that makes this very hard to argue away. Take the same age group, 22 to 25-year-olds. In the occupations least exposed to AI, their employment is growing at about 2% a year. In the occupations most exposed, it is shrinking at 3.8% a year. Same age. Same economy. Same labor market in the same months. The only variable that changed is whether a language model can do the task. So here is what I am going to establish. How big the dataset actually is, because that matters. Why this is a hiring collapse and not a wave of layoffs. Which jobs get hit and the rule that predicts it. The strongest objection, which is interest rates, and what happened when the authors tested it. And then the part 1 find genuinely alarming, which is not the unemployment number. First, the data, because this is the reason this study landed differently from every op-ed about robots taking jobs. This is not a survey. Nobody was asked how they feel about AI. This is administrative payroll data from ADP, one of the largest payroll processors in the United States. 4.6 million workers. More than 730 occupations. Roughly 1 in 6 American employees, observed month by month for nearly 4 years after ChatGPT launched. And the effect has a very clean shape. The younger you are, the worse it is. Workers aged 22 to 25 in AI-exposed occupations, down 3.8% a year. Aged 31 to 34, down 1.7%. Aged 35 to 40, still growing at about 2%. It is not that AI is coming for a profession. It is coming for a career stage. And it is not stabilizing. In April of 2024, the decline for that youngest group was running at 2.8% a year. 2 years later, it is past 3.8 and still widening at roughly half a percentage point a month. A temporary shock reverts to the mean. This does the opposite. Now the mechanism, and this is the part that should change how you read every headline about AI and jobs. This is not a story about layoffs. Almost nobody in this dataset was fired. What collapsed was hiring. The roles that used to exist for people entering the workforce simply stopped being posted. And that is exactly why it took years to become visible. A layoff is an event. It has a date, a press release, a number attached to it. A hiring freeze is an absence. Absences do not make the news, and you cannot see one until somebody goes looking in the payroll records. So which jobs? There is a rule, and it predicts the data well. ADP's chief economist, Naila Richardson, puts it like this. Occupations where AI augments human work show more enduring employment growth. Occupations where AI automates the task outright show contraction. Augment and you keep your job. Automate and the job stops being posted. And when you ask what entry-level work actually consists of, the answer is uncomfortable. Retrieving information. Summarizing documents. Formatting things. Scheduling. Writing the first draft of something a senior person is going to rewrite anyway. None of that was ever the point of a junior job. It was the tuition you paid while you absorbed judgment from the people around you. And it is precisely the layer a language model now does for a fraction of a cent. Zoom out to the whole economy and the signal gets quieter, but it is still there. Across all ages, since ChatGPT launched, employment in the most AI-exposed occupations has grown at about 1.1% a year. In the least exposed occupations, 2%. As of April 2026, the most exposed roles have tipped into outright contraction, at minus 0.2%, while the least exposed still grow. Now let me show you where this has landed hardest, because it is not where anybody predicted. The Federal Reserve Bank of New York tracks unemployment by college major. Computer science graduates are now sitting at 6.1%. First-time job seekers holding a computer science or software engineering degree are now more likely to be unemployed than graduates in communications, in history, or in the liberal arts. That is the degree that was sold to an entire generation as the safe one. And inside software specifically, the entrance has narrowed to a crack. Junior developer hiring is down around 73%, while companies carry on hiring senior and specialized engineers, which produces a genuinely strange situation. Projected job growth for the field is still around 22%. The profession is expanding. The way into it is closing. Both of those things are true at the same time, and if you only read one of them, you will completely misunderstand what is happening. And the professional consensus has moved, which is rare and worth noticing. For roughly 2 years, the standard economist position was that this was an ordinary labor market adjustment and the AI story was overblown. In July, close to 200 economists signed a public warning about AI-driven job displacement. Several of the people who dismissed this in 2024 have changed their position on the record. Now the other side, and the main objection, is a serious one. Interest rates. Between 2022 and 2024, the Federal Reserve raised rates hard, and high rates crush hiring, especially the speculative hiring of junior staff who will not be productive for a year. Economists at Google attributed the decline to the rate environment. Torsten Slok at Apollo argued this is simply a broad low-hire, low-fire labor market, which describes something real and has nothing to do with AI. And there are other candidates. White-collar industries overhired badly after the pandemic. Tariffs. General business uncertainty. So the authors tested it, and this is where the paper earns its keep. If interest rates were driving this, the effect should be largest in the most rate-sensitive industries. It is not. Construction is one of the most rate-sensitive sectors in the economy and one of the least AI-exposed, and it does not show the pattern. Remove the entire technology sector from the dataset and the effect survives. Isolate remote work and the pattern survives. And across nearly 4 years, the effect strengthens rather than reverting, which is not what a temporary rate shock does. But I am going to give you the caveat the authors themselves give because it is important and almost no coverage includes it. When you apply the broadest possible set of statistical controls, the decline in AI-exposed occupations only becomes clearly significant from 2024 onward. The earlier drops are probably some mixture of the other things. So the honest version of this is not that AI explains all of it. The honest version is that AI explains a specific, growing, and now statistically separable part of it. That is a weaker claim than the headlines. It is also much harder to dismiss. Which brings me to the part one actually find alarming, and it is not the unemployment rate. In 1962, the economist Kenneth Arrow formalized an idea called learning by doing. The observation is that a very large share of human skill is never taught. It is acquired by repeatedly performing work slightly above your current ability while somebody more experienced corrects you. Entry-level work was never economically valuable in itself. It was the mechanism. It is the process by which a junior person becomes a senior person. So if you automate the bottom rung of the ladder because the bottom rung is the cheapest one to automate, you have not made the ladder shorter. You have removed the way anybody gets onto it. And every company doing this right now is making the same unexamined bet. That it can go on hiring experienced people indefinitely, out of a pipeline it has stopped funding. Senior staff are protected today precisely because their skills are accumulated and hard to write down. Those skills were accumulated by doing junior work that no longer exists. Nobody has to be wrong about AI for this to end badly. Everyone can be individually correct about their own hiring and the aggregate still fails. So where do you land? Is this a transition, the same disruption we have run through with every technology, where the ladder gets rebuilt in a shape we cannot picture yet? Or is it a broken pipeline where we automated the training layer of the entire white-collar economy because it was the cheapest thing to automate, and we will feel it in about a decade? I lean one way. I am genuinely unsure. Tell me which you take and tell me what evidence would move you. Every number here is sourced in the description.